What we're going to talk about today is getting to profit. Obviously, an important topic for everybody. Profit, just like these guys, I'll tell you about the leaderboard a little bit later. Let's just have a look at the latest trading day for Jigsaw. This is an optional, yesterday. This is an optional feature. Some of the traders decide to opt into the leaderboard at Jigsaw, and they can it's like a bit of a competition. So what we're going to talk about today is the kind of trading that this guy does. This is a live account, $3,158 made yesterday. These aren't made up statistics. This is actually plugged straight into people's trading platforms. Okay, so we're going to look at how to get profitable and how to get profitable without having to ask or pay anyone for a setup ever again. So that's profitability and independence. That's being master of your own trading destiny. Now, many traders feel that defining their own approach to entering and exiting the market is beyond their capability. So a lot of us feel there's a few trading Albert Einsteins that created trading techniques, and the rest of us, just regular people, we got no choice but to follow those techniques a bit like sheep. Now, the reality is that in our journey as traders, we're all going to be exposed to different things. So the way we end up trading as individuals tends to be unique. So how we trade is going to be affected by what we learned, what we found easy, what we found hard, what made the most sense. So inevitably, we end up trading our own variation of trading. As an example, you all took the initiative in time to be here today. And what I'm going to reveal today is going to stay with you and will end up being a part of your trading journey, and for some more than others. So open your mind, close Facebook, switch off your mobile phones right now, and let's make sure we all get the most from the next 40 minutes or so. Now, this is me. I entered the world of trading back in the early 2000s after financial advisors, as Renee said, kindly lost 30% of my net worth and then asked me to double down to try and get the losses back. Now that I took control of my own pension savings and decided to trade that myself, again, even if I lost some money myself, it's going to be better than paying somebody to do that for me. So I came into trading very skeptical because of those losses, and it became clear very quickly that trading books, educators, and pretty much everything I read on trading forums was not helpful. So with the biggest source of information available looking fairly unreliable, I made it my mission, instead of trying to find people on the internet, I went out in person to seek out professional traders, find out what it was they did. And I did that very simply by networking, meeting traders face to face. And luckily for me, and many of you will have experienced this, if you ever go out on a social event and you mention trading, right, people are going to run away or fall asleep. So I found traders really generous with their information time, because most of the time nobody's got any interest whatsoever in listening to what they do. Now, if you do what I did, you will find very quickly that you can't emulate every professional trader. I mean, I met one trader that had retired at 35 after heading a team at RBS Singapore, writing barrier options for Forex, which isn't something you can do at home unless you got a couple of $1 billion. I know a market maker, even now, his job, he sits on an open outcry desk all day, matching buyers and sellers for his firm, and he can push through $1 billion on a busy day. And again, you're not going to be able to do that from home. So you're going to meet traders. Yeah, it's nice to know what they do, but the traders I met the most, and the ones that the traders that influenced me the most, were the guys day trading stocks and futures, and that was something I could emulate at home, and it's what I focused on ever since. Now, you can all do this. You can all get off your chairs, go and find networking events and meet real traders, right? They're not special and they don't have bodyguards. And the general rule of thumb is it only counts as stalking if you're being creepy about it. Now, even with the advice of professionals, I struggled a little bit. In fact, you know, the remarks of this professional trader put it best. On a lot of platforms, you still have to do a little bit of mental acrobats to make these professional techniques work. So as part of my personal journey, I did end up creating tools that made life easier for me and my trader friends, and that's how Jigsaw really got started. I just found like the traditional tools a little bit harder to read, so I made my own. Now, it's not just professional traders that follow the advice that we're going to look at shortly. So a lot of traders like you have seen significant increases in win rates as a result. We just saw the account of somebody from yesterday, and that's real improvement simply as a result of applying some common sense techniques that are explained in plain English, and techniques that you can ask about if something doesn't make sense, or techniques you could go out and ask a professional trader about if you do a little bit of networking. So we're not talking about leap of faith stuff here. We're talking about stuff that makes sense. Now, as I said, professional traders, they're not secretive about their methods, right? They just don't have time to write books, and they don't really feel any need to hang out on trading forums, right? They go to the office every day, see traders all day, probably get bored of them, don't really want to go and see them on the internet when they get home. So their exposure is to real traders and real methods. So while you might not hear from them, it's not because they're keeping quiet. In fact, I know one prop firm that actually got kicked out of an office building in London for being too noisy. Now, the techniques we're going to discuss today, you can use on a live account, or to get a funded account somewhere like Top Step Trader, or to build a track record and then approach a prop firm. Because doors will open when you have a decent track record to share. In fact, for many of you, the secret of success will not be trading your own money, but developing a track record and trading someone else's. Now, you listen to that just sounds impossible to put everybody, but it's just a matter of perspective because you haven't been out and met these guys. It is a very expensive and a very painful process recruiting intern prop traders. It's really hard in an interview to decide who's got what it takes and who doesn't. So as much as you think you need the money to trade, they need good traders even more. And that's just common sense, but again, not really common knowledge, which is pretty much the theme for today. So here's the challenge, which is to get profitable in 4 months. And getting to profit, for those of you who aren't there, is not a final destination in trading, right? But it is a very important milestone. So we know there's a lot of people sim trading with no success, and we know there's a lot of people losing money. There's people that have put a lot of time into trading for nothing. I meet guys 5 years, 10 years with no progress, absolutely normal. Now, we should not treat time as an unlimited commodity because it isn't. Now, in a prop firm, a professional trading firm, they take people that are completely new to trading, and the fastest ones are trading live firm money after 3 or 4 months. Now, most of you here today have probably already got more than 3 or 4 months experience. So you've got more experience than their interns, but just that many of you have a really hard time right now knowing which experiences you've got are actually useful or likely to work and which don't. So we'll sort that in a minute. But just get used to the idea that improvements should come very quickly and very fast. That's the way this industry works. Needs you to simplify things, okay? So before we start, just look forward to a few months' time, okay? In a few months' time, it's going to be a time when trading is no longer a mystery to you, okay? You are no longer spending time on the internet looking for ways to trade. You know when to trade and when not to. You know where to get into the market, and more importantly, you know why you're getting in there. So trading is something you're relaxed about and not frustrated. You've got your allotted time to trade each day. You go to your desk, you trade it, and at the end of a session, you switch off and you do something else. Okay, so you don't spend your weekends looking for ways to trade. You spend more time with your loved ones, and each week, your account balance is rising. Now, nod your head if that's some way you'd like to be in 4 months' time. Okay, now great if you nodded your head. Now nod your head if you're willing to do something a little bit different from conventional wisdom to get there. Okay, great. So let's take a look at what's going to make the difference. So we're going to walk through 3 keys of getting to profit. 3 things you absolutely need to do differently for trading to make sense and for you to make real measurable progress. And these are probably not the 3 most obvious things you would think make the difference between success and failure, right? But they are 3 very powerful changes that any of you can make immediately. Right, now just read this. Have you ever heard anyone saying either of these things? Of course not, right? So most people have learned a skill that they improve with over time. So playing a musical instrument, riding a bicycle, martial arts, learning a language, da-da-da. But why is it we hear these kinds of things so often in trading books and trading forums? What is it that people say? They say, don't overtrade, okay? People are being programmed right from the start that trading frequently is bad. Okay, so they'll tell you, start off swing trading, it's safer, buying positions you can hold for weeks. But if you buy positions and hold them for weeks, it takes weeks before you get any feedback about the performance of that position. And how many positions can you take in a year? 20, 30, 50 maybe? So in a year's worth of trading, you take 50, 60 trades. Does that really represent significant practice? Does that represent doing something so often you are now really great at it? Of course not. Right? It's just one of the many pieces of conventional trading wisdom that sounds smart, it sounds clever, but causes losses. You trade so seldomly, you get bored of the waiting time. You don't get to take the hundreds of trades it takes to get some decent statistics. So you end up in the meantime, just getting bored, looking for new methods, or changing the way you trade before you get enough information to make adjustments. Now, 100 trades a week is a much better target for a new trader than 100 trades a year. Okay, it's more time in trades, more experience entering the market, more experience exiting the market. It's really honing your skills. So if you want to get good at something, anything, right, pick something, you need to practice a lot, and trading is no different. Now, in prop firms, they start new traders off trading many times a day. So they invest heavily in teaching their interns, and they want a return as quickly as possible. So they teach short-term trading techniques because it's the fastest way to get a return on their investment. It's a skill that they can teach in the shortest time that leads to profits in the shortest time. And they use very different tools to do so. Tools that are quite alien to most retail traders. Now, at least once a week, I get an email inquiry asking something along the lines of, I've been trying to trade off charts for 5 years. You know, I like what you teach, but it looks a bit difficult. And they say this without noticing the unintended irony. After all, what exactly is easy about trying to trade off charts for 5 years and failing? Partly, it's because of this thing called the sunk cost fallacy, that the more time you invest in something, the harder it becomes to abandon it, even if you didn't get good results. So a lot of people think that because they invested 5 years in reading charts, it will take them 5 years to trade off something else, like the trading ladder over here. But if it took 5 years to learn to trade off the ladder, there wouldn't be a prop firm in existence today, okay? And you don't have to believe me on this. This picture here is me, but this is not my desk. This is a firm in the financial district in London. Look at what the guy's trading on. This is his trading screen. He is not using charts to trade, okay? I know it's alien to a lot of people, but that's the industry. Now I get comments from people saying, yes, I know prop firms trade off the price ladder, but I want to do something easier, right? As if prop firms intentionally pick a more difficult way to trade, okay? Now you see what people are doing here, right? They're setting up roadblocks for themselves. It's a loser mentality. It's a form of self-sabotage, sticking in a comfort zone that has not paid off in any way. Now, the good thing, though, for those that do try the ladder, progress comes fast, and it takes only a few weeks to start seeing what valuable information it provides. Now, it doesn't mean 2 weeks of profit, it just means 2 weeks to see what you're missing out on. Now, this would be a new skill for most, and it does take effort to learn, but this is the trading industry. So anyone that told you trading would be easy as 2 lines crossing over is lying, right? If you keep looking for that, you will absolutely look forever. Now, of course, taking money from the market is going to require some effort, but it isn't rocket science. And if you're 5 years into sim trading and telling yourself the professionals are trading the hard way that gets some profit after 3 months, you've got to have a little bit of a rethink about that. So here's the real key, number one. The more you trade, the faster you progress. Multiple trades per hour is a good target. Now, that doesn't mean sitting down and just trading at random, trading off the cuff, and we'll get into that in key 2. But it does mean being focused and precise about taking good opportunities. And also, and this is really, really important, be realistic about the times you can trade. Because I get a lot of people, they'll call me up and they'll say, oh, I'm interested in market replay. And the discussion goes a bit like this. Now, I want to be able to replay the market, they ask. And I'm like, okay, why? Well, you know, I'm like, why? And they say, I want to replay and trading the first 2 hours of the market each day. And I'm like, well, why don't you just watch it live? It's open every day, right? Is it like you're like an addict? You need the weekends? And I say, no, I'm at work at those times, and that's why I need to replay it. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your plan here, right? It sounds sensible. What's your plan? Are you going to go from trading the replay to trading real money full time, right? Like nothing in the middle, you know? So you're going to quit work one day because you can make money on replay? I don't think so, right? So there are markets open in the US evenings. And if that's the time you'll be available to trade as you transition gradually from part-time to full-time trading, that's the period you should practice on. Then you can go live a few contracts, start making a little bit of money, start scaling up, and then start thinking about giving up your day job. But this idea of jumping from sim or replay to full-time real money trading with no backup income doesn't happen. It's never happened, right? So you trade frequently. The more you trade, the faster you improve. Okay, now this almost seems kind of too simple to be one of the most significant things to change in your trading to make it work, but it's not. This is just what professionals do. Now on to the second key to success. There is obviously a degree of sarcasm in this presentation, but it's just to highlight how kind of odd some of the conventional wisdom on trading is. Now, you probably don't think that your trading technique is betting against the market or trying to predict the future, but that's what a lot of traders are actually trying to do. So let's first all agree that neither of these things are healthy in trading, right? You don't want to be banging your heads against the market all day and betting against it, and we don't have the power to predict the future. So what is it that many traders do that has them fighting the market? And I warn you, I'm about to commit trading sacrilege. Well, the biggest issue by far is the focus on turning points in the market, right? Typically trying to figure out where the low of the day will be and buying it, or where the high of the day will be and selling it, predicting the end of a move. So we all know about the concepts of support and resistance, right? So it's quite normal to look for the best ways to find support levels in a market, old highs and lows, moving averages, Fibonacci, long-term volume profiles, pivot points, Elliott wave, if ever figured out what the hell that is. There's no shortage of ways trying to define areas of support and resistance, but there is no discussion at all on whether it's even possible in the first place, right? Now, if I started a discussion on the best way to find unicorn poop, I no doubt you'd all laugh at me. You'd say, well, unicorns don't exist and they poop ice cream, so it's all melted anyway. But people don't take that same approach to support and resistance. They absolutely believe it can be found and just start to try to find a way to find it. They just don't question the concept at all. But it is what's causing 90% of your losses, right? And the problem with it is really simple. For a market to get to support, it has to be moving down. So when you buy support, you are buying a market that is moving down, and that is the definition of betting against the market, right? Everybody's telling you to do it. 95% of people losing money is not a coincidence, right? Now, the interesting thing is that in doing this, you know, looking for support, a lot of you've already developed a really tradable skill, okay? A lot of you know when a market is moving down. That kind of sounds silly, but you know when a market's moving down, you can see it, but you don't trade it. You're waiting for it to hit a level so you can buy it. Now, of course, what happens, there's always quite a few potential support levels below us, and it's quite random which one will hold or if the market will just turn in the middle of nowhere. Now, there's a lot of more sophisticated ways to trade that involve levels. That the kind of short of that is, you know, if you think a lot of people are looking at a level and it starts to bounce, move away from that level, you will tend to see an increase in participation, and that is the point. You can join that move, okay? We'll talk a bit more about that later if we get some time. The difference, of course, if you do that, is you're not betting against the market, and it's not predictive, or you could argue it's not as predictive. After all, at any random time in the market, just think about it. Any random time in the market, is it more likely that one, it will just carry on what it's doing now, or two, the market is just suddenly going to stop and do something else? And if you believe number two, you should carry on trading support and resistance because you're betting on a sudden change in the market. If you believe number one, you're close to figuring out how to make money, because the way you make money is pretty much any way you like, right? This support and resistance focus is based around catching the bottom of a move and riding it to make lots of ticks to capitalize on an extended move. It is not what professional traders do. Anybody telling you that, just tell them to put you in touch with one that does it, right? So you can make money in the markets without any move at all, right? So there's markets like 2-year treasury notes, they barely move, but people are trading it. It's 250,000 contracts a day trade, right? Doesn't move at all. You can make money in fast markets. You can make money in slow markets. You can make money in markets that don't move. You can make money trading news events. Now, how many of you have watched the market go dead at lunchtime and decide there's no opportunity there because it's not moving? How many of you look at the clock at 11 a.m. Eastern time and say, oh, market's not going to do anything for the next 2 hours? That is opportunity for some people. Now, you don't even need a high win rate. So some setups will have an opportunity to make a lot of ticks, but you're just risking a few. You see, you might not win even half the time, but the risk reward is where you profit. But the key to making money from the markets is observing a behavior that occurs repeatedly, then exploiting it. And it doesn't matter what that behavior is, right? Slow or fast, moving, not moving, as long as you can identify that behavior in time to exploit it, you can make money. And that is what professional traders do day in, day out. I know a professional trader who trades a market that is so slow, it virtually never moves, and he can be waiting 2 or 3 days for a fill on a position on that market, and he's bidding at the inside, right? But it's just a way to make money. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing good about it. Nothing clever about it. It's just a market that behaves a certain way. He knows the behavior and he trades it a certain way. So this isn't new stuff. It's just new to frustrated traders. Like this one from a few months ago. I was sitting on my PC one night. It's quite funny. A really frustrated trader sent me a message on Skype, and it had already been a tough day for me because my daughter had her appendix out. Not normally a day of trade, and this guy came to me and he'd been sim trading crude, not doing very well that day. And he said, "Oh man, this is crazy. Whatever I do, I lose money. Nobody's making any money trading. I don't think they are. It's all nonsense. Like nobody." Yeah. And I said, okay, well, you know, I understand what you're saying. You're frustrated. So I had a look at crude. Saw that actually it was pretty lively. So I said to him, okay, look, start now. Can you make 3 ticks on a live account? Just 3 ticks. Forget your 50 and your 100. And he said, no, he's not even trading a live account anymore. But it didn't matter what he did. He would lose money every time. So I said, okay, wait there. And 9 minutes later, I showed him this, okay? This is not a hero trade. It's just 3 ticks, 3 contracts, right? $90 before commission. There's nothing great about it. And it was just to make a point. And the point was, all I did here was see a market that was moving up. I bought it and stayed with it for 3 ticks. Now, if sellers had stepped in, I'd have bailed on the trade. Now, I did cheat a bit because I only said to him, could you make 3 ticks on crude? Because I'd already seen that crude was directional. I knew it was a high probability trade to go with the market. But why 3 ticks? Well, I'll tell you why 3 ticks. First number that came into my head. I just wanted to scalp do a quick scalp on crude to show him that you could actually make money, okay? And I'm also no expert in crude. Now, there's times you could trade like this 10 times an hour. It's a behavior that repeats itself over and over again on crude, that the big runs it makes. And I did this just to prove a point to someone that was losing through trying to pick those big, perfect turn trades. And the point was simply, saw what the market was doing, and I traded it. Didn't try to predict a turn, didn't try to predict any change in behavior, traded what it was doing right there, right then. And if it had started to do the opposite, would have got out. It's not very clever, just requires you to be a little bit decisive. You're getting long, sellers appear, you get out, okay? And all I used was this. Now, this is far less complicated than the sort of trading most retail traders do, you know, with their 4 screens, 6 time frames, 100 indicators. And to be honest, I didn't even use all of the stuff you're looking at here. I used the volume profile to get an idea where trades were positioned. And I used the trades in the middle to see the momentum was on the buy side. And the sort of behavior I found in this case was just related to volatility. Had crude been standing still in a tight range, I could have used a market making technique, just taking small, simple, regular trades. You do that well, and then when the opportunity occurs, you scale into a bigger position when the market runs. And that's basically your whole trading career. There, that's all you need. So the real key, number 2, is just go with the flow. Trade what the market's doing right now, okay? And I can hear you thinking, but I won't make much money doing that. I need to make 100 ticks a day on crude to leave my job. And at some point, man, it's going to be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I know guys, 20 years before they learn this. You've got to realize that trading those big trades is what's causing your losses, makes you trade against the market. Now, making a $90 trade is better than losing every day, and it's better than sim trading. Scale that up a little bit, and that $90 trade becomes $450 a trade. Find a frequent behavior. That's something you can repeat many times a day. And like I said earlier, profit is just kind of one milestone on the journey. It's not an end goal. So if you try to go from losing as a trader to being the best trader on the planet in one step, you will absolutely fail. And this is the path to the professional trader. You book some profits and then you push your advantage. Now on to the final piece of the puzzle. There's a belief out there that you have to be a trading Einstein to discover your own method of trading. Okay, so most traders decide at some point to go out and buy a trading method. I get emails all the time, and there goes, well, you know, I like all the theory and that, and it's all very clever, but can't you just tell me where to get in and where to get out? In other words, they just want a pattern, a signal to get in and out that they can repeat without worrying about why it works. So, you know, what happens to these guys? Well, here's what happens. Technique doesn't work. Traders got no idea how to fix it, right? You buy a technique, it doesn't work. What are you going to do? Go and ask for a refund? So they've got no idea when the technique doesn't work, if it's almost working or if it's totally useless, right? Just doesn't work. Okay, so to most people, a trading method has 2 outcomes: profitable, not profitable, working or broken. And there's very little almost there or needs a few tweaks. After all, if you don't know how something works, you can't fix it. So acquiring a system is a shortcut everybody wants to take, but the easy way ends up being the hard way. So buying one technique after another for years is really frustrating. I know lots of people have been there, and it can take up a huge amount of your free time, and it's just all for no reward. And it's a cycle of hope and failure. Now, in prop firms, they have a different approach, right? They teach how the market behaves, right? Not how it behaves all the time, okay? So they're not turning people into traders that can trade any market in any condition at any time of day. Every prop firm specializes, right? They teach specific behaviors, why those behaviors occur, and how to spot them, okay? And what you'll find is one firm to another firm, they'll all be specializing on different behaviors. Now, I know lots of professional traders, and each trader, even within a firm, they've all got their own little niche. They've all got their own little specialization. They're similar, but there's differences, right? And I can't do a lot of what those guys do, okay? So, you know, a lot of professional traders do. I'm interested in what everybody does, but a lot of things, they're just not my thing, right? So I've got my own little niche and my own little comfort area, and I don't claim to be able to go to any market any time and be able to trade it. And to be honest, why would you need to? Yeah, why would you want to, man? If you're bored, get a hobby. But you know, to try and trade every market, every technique, it's a lot of work. So prop firms, they teach behavior, then they teach you how to exploit that behavior. Okay, so they give traders enough room to make that technique their own as well. But the real key here is that if the trader doesn't do well, they will know with 100% certainty whether they lost because the market behavior changed or their execution wasn't very good. And that's something that very few home traders know. And this is the most important part of this webinar, right? If you just learn one thing today, learn this one, right? You will only ever become profitable if you first learn a market behavior and second, figure out how to trade it afterwards. Okay. In fact, it's better to even have two trading plans. One trading plan that describes the behavior you're going to exploit and another that defines how you'll trade it. And with this, if your trading sucks, and it will at first, you will know without doubt if you've got an issue with execution or if the market just didn't behave as expected for that period, right? And here is an example. Now, this is a real one. This isn't made up. This is a real one. This is from my trading plan. And this is a trade based around the behavior at the open of the S&P 500. Now, the details, you can take a screenshot if you want. It's fine. The details aren't actually important for what we're doing today. What we have on the left is the result of me spending time looking at a certain behavior in the market. Now, you don't have to worry about remembering the exact results. We've got loads of videos on our site describing different behaviors you can exploit. But just try and think about this conceptually. What I've done out here is I've outlined something I see. And like I mentioned earlier, this could be anything, right? It could be market sits in a 3-tick range at lunchtime. It's just something I observe frequently. Doesn't matter too much what it is. On the right, here's the plan for how I'm going to exploit that behavior. And after every trade I take, I can look at this and I can say, was the behavior there? Did I trade it okay? Do I need to start to make changes? And I can take meaningful, educated decisions. I don't need to reinvent myself. And I don't need to get frustrated. I know why I should be trading, and if it doesn't know well, I can start looking for the cause. I don't have to go to the internet and say, oh God, I need to find another method, right? Now, how many of you can say that about every trade you take? How many of you can say without doubt a trade failed because the market behavior failed or because you didn't trade it well? Okay. Now, how many of you want to be able to say that about every trade you take? Because you all should. So the key number 3, right? Make sure you understand the behavior and then figure out how to trade it, right? It will not take you too long. I know a market maker, and when he moves on to a different market, it takes him about 2 weeks to learn to be able to trade that market. And that's taking all of his techniques to that market, right? That's what he does. Okay, so by now you should have a good idea of changes you can make to get yourself to profit. Okay, these are 3 things that make a lot of sense. Not wacky ideas, right? Not black box systems, but actually a realistic approach. An approach that takes no additional work for anyone, but actually gets you to being self-sufficient. Okay. Now let me ask you a question. It is exciting to think, right, that some fairly small changes, in fact simplifications to the way you approach trading, are the things that will help you reach your goals. It's exciting, right? And the thing is, there's only so much I can actually tell you in 45 minutes. So how would you like it if I could actually help you implement this stuff yourself, right from end to end? completely hold your hand through the process. Is anybody that would like to have somebody do that with them? And of course, and this is always the awkward part where it all goes a bit quiet now, because of course I do have something to sell. So we're going to move on to that, and I'm okay if you don't want to hear it, that's fine. Go and have a cup of tea. At Jigsaw, right, we have an understanding that the vast majority of traders come to us with little or no understanding of how the markets operate. Generally speaking, they've had, you know, sometimes 5, 15, sometimes very sad cases, 20 years of like just nonsense techniques that don't work, you know, just squiggly lines on charts. Now, what we do at Jigsaw, we focus only on the techniques used in discretionary futures prop firms, because you could take anything we do, anything we teach you, and you could go to a prop trader and show them and they'd say, yeah, we do that. Okay. So everything we do is tried and tested there. Now, the first thing we have is a platform, and 90% of the functionality in traditional platforms is at best a distraction, right? They cater to what you want and not what you need. So if you look at any platform, look at that long list of indicators that you've got on your platform and ask yourself, why do they all exist? Because if just one of them worked in any way, you wouldn't need any of the others, right? So our focus on proprietary trading techniques starts with our trading platform, delivering what you need to trade like a prop trader, with a few clever features built in to make those techniques more accessible, just basically giving you all of what you need and none of what you don't. Now, add on to that, we have an introduction to order flow course, and that builds the kind of knowledge foundation so that you understand clearly why the kind of information we use is useful and the basis of the techniques used in the prop firms. Now, in over 10 hours of videos, we start with the basic mechanics of price movement and how you can introduce order flow to your trading, and on to covering the uses of order flow that might not be so obvious. We then move on to market drills that you can perform just like a prop firm, so that you recognize all of this activity playing out in real time. After all, you know, it's great to have the theory, but you really need some guidance in terms of getting that first practical application. It's like, you know, not many people learn to ride a bicycle on their own. It just takes a little bit of guidance. Then we have an advanced order flow training course that covers a number of advanced topics, such as using order flow for trade management, reading short-term volume profiles, analysis of reversals, lots of scalping techniques, other trade setups. So this is stuff that you can add on later and layer in. It's not stuff you need all at the start, giving you more behaviors to exploit and helping with market context and trade management. And then this is the coup, right? Our institutional course. The institutional course is a distance learning course, which takes about 8 weeks to complete, and it's delivered in partnership with a proprietary trading firm in London. So this is a course straight from the trading floor of a prop firm in the heart of London's financial district. And that is special, right? Because how many webinars do you come to where the presenters actually have relationships with real financial firms, with real prop firms? Yeah, you got loads of them say, yeah, I know the pros and I'm a pro, right? But how many are actually bringing you education from a firm that's got a floor full of traders trading size in the markets every day? And the answer to that is none of them, right? So this is exactly what they teach their intern traders about trading the price ladder. And this course covers a number of different order flow setups, different from the ones in our education material, alongside trading drills to ensure that you get to experience each of those setups and master them before you get to the next. So on with the tools and education, you pretty much got everything you need to start pulling money from the markets. But there's actually a few other things. And the reason there's a few other things is because, unlike you, trades in prop firms have a few additional edges, right? One of the edges they have is they're exposed to a trading environment every day, okay? And you should be too, right? It's part of immersing yourself in trading. It's part of the formula for success, living and breathing trading. And we don't want you to miss out on that, because it'll impact your development as a trader. I mean, you can just start going off track and not really realize it, right? So we have a chat room. Now, the Jigsaw chat room, it's open daily, and it's most active during the US morning session. And it's a place for traders, for our customers to come and chat about their opinions of the market. This isn't me directing the discussion. This is traders coming together and talking to each other. We believe it's very valuable for our customers to meet each other, talk about their trades, and talk about any other trading related topic. So if you see something in the market you don't understand, there is nothing more powerful than having a discussion with other traders who are also witnessing. So in a prop firm, something crazy goes on in the market, they all go and talk about it over lunch, right? Why not? You don't have that at home. You have that if you're with Jigsaw. Now, journaling your trades is really the only surefire way to track progress. but that can be a painful process, right? Because journaling can be quite disruptive to your trade. If you've tried to do this, especially as a short-term trader, you're in the middle of a trade, you've just got in, and then you have to go away on your notepad and take your fingers off the mouse. It's a little bit disruptive. And that's why a lot of traders don't keep a journal, you know, because it's just a bit painful, we're a bit lazy. But that data, that trading data, really has a wealth of information that can help reveal where you need to focus in your trading. And we take the pain out of keeping a journal with our trader statistics dashboard. So trade information is collected automatically, nothing to do on your part at all except to trade. And the example, are you making money at certain times of day? We've got a trader here that's placing trades at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but is predominantly losing on them. 3 o'clock, he's doing great. Should have gone home at 4, okay? So that kind of thing might not be obvious if you're just looking at your P&L at the end of the week. You can tell if certain days are more profitable. Do you make more money on some instruments and lose it on others? And you can even compare different time periods to see if you're actually improving over time or not. So with this information, you're really well equipped to focus on areas that you're successful and just drop the ones you're not, right? If you're losing money every Tuesday, take Tuesday off, right? You don't force yourself to make money on Tuesday. There could be reasons. It could be, you know, Friday markets are pretty bad. They're pretty slow. So it could actually be a reason that Tuesdays don't do well with your strategy. There's a final bonus. We're also introducing something called a trader review. Now, this isn't a sales pitch, or it isn't just to sell. I don't have time to take on more than 20 people for this, so I'm only going to offer this to the first 20. And what we're going to do is a 3-part review, right? So the first part is a review of what you do now and how well it's working, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't improve something if it doesn't actually work at all, right? We do that so we can help ease you out of bad habits and put aside techniques that are just not used in the professional world. So we're going to be honest about you know, what you're doing right now and give you some advice on what to drop, what to keep. Second review is after you complete the institutional course. And the goal here is to identify an area of focus. And that's going to be different for everybody, right? Because there's a lot of different techniques you're going to see in the courses. And we're going to help you choose the 1 or 2 that you feel the most attractive to, that you did best in the course exercises, and the one that's most likely to work at the times of day that you've got available to trade. And then the third review is a review of your trading plan. And that's going to be a 2-part plan you put together, okay, putting you in control of exploiting the market behavior. And what we're going to do, we're just going to give it a sanity check and point out anything you're going to be missing. Because a lot of people, they kind of miss a few things about market context, time, you know, there's a few things that tend to be missing. We don't really want to see you going, you know, gung-ho following the plan that doesn't actually make a lot of sense. So overall, you're going to get almost $10,000 worth of software and services. And that's what you pay just in the first month, first 12 months if you went somewhere else. And of course, I'm not going to charge you $10,000 today. I could, but I'm not going to. But I do want to ask you something. If all we did for you here was to get you out of the cycle of losses you're in, you know, to point you away from all the nonsense that really couldn't possibly work, you know, would that be worth it? I think so. You know, if all we did was show you how the market really behaved, so you can actually see it and experience it for yourself and become self-sufficient as a trader, to actually know why stuff was going on in the markets, would that be worth it? Of course. If all we did was give you behaviors and setups that you could use to start booking just your first consistent profits, that would be worth it. Now, if all this did was give you the tools, guidance, support from real people you can talk to, the people you can just contact on Skype or on the phone to help you implement techniques using prop firms every day to book consistent profits, would that be worth it? And of course, answer's got to be yes. So we're going to give you a genuine, proven path to success using techniques that are used every day in the professional trading world, right? Now, we're not going to charge you 10K today, but let me ask you, what is a legitimate trading method worth, right? So like the open trade we discussed earlier, that, you know, I showed you my 2-part trading plan, something you can actually use repeatedly, right? Just one of the many things that you're going to learn here, a trade where you're going to absolutely understand why it works, where you're going to be able to observe it repeatedly before you start trading it, and where you'll build confidence in it before you even start risking money in it. Would you pay 10K for that? If I could show you that, of course you would. It's a good deal. And we're not going to charge you 10,000 today. Not even going to charge you 5,000. What we're going to do for the first 20 people, like I said, I'm going to be spending time with you. I don't have time to spend with more than 20 of you. I do only have so much time available. So if you're interested, click upon this link, take us up on the offer. Now, a lot of you have been here before, right? You see something in the webinar, Everybody relates to somebody different, right? The people that think, people say, well, this guy is crazy, I don't know what he's bumbling on about. And there's other guys saying, I've seen the light, it's the Holy Grail, right? You see something in the webinar makes sense, you get fired up, you get excited about the possibilities, thinking, right, these actually sound like the changes that could make the difference for me. And then what happens the next day? Probably nothing, right? So we can show you trading methods used day in, day out by the best prop traders, people I talk with every week on the phone, right? But most of you go back tomorrow and you'll do nothing. You'll go back to your old habits. You'll say, man, I don't want to learn that price ladder. These charts are really easy. I know I've been losing money for 5 years on them, but I really like to trade off charts. And you'll just continue to let trading consume you. So the only way you're going to really move forward is to break the habit. Yeah, do something different, invest your time in legitimate techniques, and get yourself moving forward aggressively to take things to the next level. If you've been looking at this for 5 years, I know some of you have, the idea of getting profitable in 3 or 4 months just seems completely alien, right? You've probably almost resigned yourself to spending another 5 years, and you really don't have to do that. So on that, guys, my time is up. I wish you a lot of luck with your trading. If you come with us, if you don't come with us, I do wish you a lot of luck. It's a tough game. And I look forward to working with some of you and seeing you grow as traders.